Dubai is a city that seems to have everything going for it. Luxury buildings, rapid growth, and low crime. On the surface, it seems like the perfect city and one of the best places to live in the world. But what if I told you 70 years ago Dubai had no electricity, no running water, and no lambos? How exactly did a small pearling village in the harsh Arabian desert turn into one of the fastest growing and most luxurious cities in the world in less than a century? Is Dubai's growth a miracle or simply a mirage? Buckle up as we uncover the incredible rise of the miracle that is Dubai. To start, we must go back in time 120 years. In the early 1900s, Dubai was a pearling village of 10,000 people. Male slaves were used as divers to dive into the Persian Gulf and collect pearls with nothing more than a sack, nose clip, and a rock tied to one leg. These pearls grew increasingly popular as a luxury item with the rich in Europe, India, and North America. The pearl industry was booming, and so it didn't matter that Dubai had become heavily reliant on it. Then, in 1929, that would all change. The Great Depression hit, people stopped buying pearls, and Dubai was hit brutally by the crash in demand. At this same time, researchers in Japan discovered how to culture pearls that look identical to the real ones. These cultured pearls flooded the market and would kill the pearl industry in Dubai and around the world forever. Suffering from this devastating blow with no backup, Dubai would aim to never make the same mistake again of relying fully on one sector. With the end of pearls, Dubai had another trick up its sleeve. In the early 1900s, the Sheikh began transforming Dubai into a duty-free port in the Persian Gulf. This strategic move, coupled with Dubai's strong friendship with Britain and the increasing taxes in Persia's port towns, led to Persian merchants choosing to move to Dubai. Times were still tough though. Another world war impacting global trade and an armed conflict border dispute with their neighbour Abu Dhabi happened, leading up to the 1950s. Up until this point, the West knew little about the land that now occupies Dubai and the Persian Gulf states. The people lived in underdeveloped lands with no modern technologies and no education. That would soon change. In the 1950s, the West was experiencing a post-war boom. They wanted oil, and a realization soon came that land around the Persian Gulf states may have lots of it. The search for oil started in 1950. British geologists and drillers set up along Dubai's sandy southern outskirts and got to work. For 13 years, they drilled near Dubai, but they found nothing. Their neighbours Abu Dhabi had struck massive amounts of oil 7 years earlier, and it appeared Dubai was just a barren waste after all. The British exploration company gave up and decided to go home. At this point, you may have thought it pointless to keep searching, but Dubai's leader at the time, Sheikh Rashid, was a relentless optimist and decided to double down on drilling for oil. Then, in 1966, 3 years after the British had quit, something would happen that would change everything. Drilling 15 miles offshore, Dubai had struck oil. Their first exports of crude oil would come just 3 years later in September 1969. With the discovery of oil, Dubai changed overnight and would enter the modern age. 2 years later, in 1971, Britain fully withdrew from the Persian Gulf, leaving the Gulf states on their own. To ensure security and stability in their territory, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and 5 other emirates decided to unite as one country and form the United Arab Emirates. Bahrain and Qatar were originally going to join too, but ended up backing out because of ongoing disputes and a desire for independence. Even with the formation of the UAE, Abu Dhabi and Dubai still had beef at this time, and this ultimately led to Dubai being allowed to rule many of its own affairs separate from the UAE. Joining a new country and now having lots of oil money, things were looking good for Dubai. In the span of 2 decades, from 1960 to 1980, Dubai grew 16-fold in size, and it increased its population nearly 5-fold, from 60,000 to 276,000 people. With 4 billion barrels of oil reserves, Dubai had 4% of the UAE's oil. Nearly all the rest was in Abu Dhabi. But that was still a substantial amount. In 1975, oil dominated Dubai's economy, bringing in 57% of their GDP, or $9 billion in revenue at the time. But this windfall of money was on borrowed time. The oil money wouldn't last forever, and the Sheikh of Dubai knew that. Sheikh Rashid reflected his concern with Dubai's oil by famously saying, "My grandfather rode a camel. My father rode a camel, I drive a Mercedes. My son drives a Land Rover. His son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel. Perhaps it was memories of the collapse of the pearl economy, but Dubai was now planning an ambitious plan to grow the city-state beyond oil, and taking on a huge risk to do it. Oil can be a blessing and a curse for oil-producing countries, depending on how it's used. And in 1979, with the huge boost in funding, Sheikh Rashid made ambitious plans that made him look crazy to everyone around him. In a city of only 236,000 people at the time, he decided to invest the funds massively in infrastructure, overbuilding roads, factories and ports that he hoped would be used over the next 50 years. He built the Dubai World Trade Center, a skyscraper in the empty desert that was the city's first major business center. He also commissioned the development of massive ports to rapidly remove Dubai's dependence on oil and diversify their economy. They built Jebel Ali Port, the world's largest man-made harbor, which helped solidify Dubai's position as a logistics and trading hub of the Middle East. The construction and development would continue over the decades, with other projects including the Dubai Aluminium Smelter, Dubai Dry Docks, and the iconic Burj Al Arab Hotel. The launch of Emirates Airlines in 1983 also played a critical role in bringing in tourism and business to the city. Many believe that Sheikh Rashid's Chad-like gambles on infrastructure were the pivotal decisions that moved Dubai onto the world stage. These massive investments set it apart from its oil-rich neighbors, and the more the Sheikh poured into ports, industry and airports, the faster the economy grew. Going into the early 2000s, Dubai continued to focus on free trade, infrastructure and tourism. In 2001, work started the development of the Palm Jumeirah, one of the world's largest artificial islands which added residential capacity to Dubai. In 2004, they began building the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, which opened in 2010. And in 2008, they opened Dubai Mall, the second largest mall in the entire world by total land area. Alongside heavily investing in infrastructure, Dubai has hoped to lure in some of the smartest people. Low taxes, an openness to other beliefs, and tolerance of alcohol, pork and other things banned in most Middle Eastern countries has led it to attract many outsiders into the city. Today, over 88% of Dubai's population is foreigners. To help boost tourism, Dubai has also heavily built out their international airport and the Emirates airline. Having a strategic location where Dubai is 7 hours or less away from 50% of the world, it has begun to emerge as a great connection hub for travelers to and from Europe, Asia and Africa. Last year, Dubai's airport handled over 85 million passengers, making it the busiest international airport in the entire world. Handling so much traffic, Dubai has naturally seen a growth in tourists, with over 17 million visiting Dubai in 2023. With the decision to overbuild Dubai, the city has perhaps undergone the fastest rise of wealth from underdevelopment in the history of the world. All of this building has not come without a cost. Dubai had only banned slavery in 1963 and has been highly criticized of their treatment of workers for their massive construction projects. Hundreds, if not thousands, of foreign workers have died each year in the UAE, in ways that are commonly cited as cardiac arrest or natural causes. Concerns of worker abuses has been an ongoing issue for Dubai to this day. Dubai has faced its fair share of setbacks in recent years. Labour issues, a highly skewed demographic, climate change impacts and more make it a place that has its share of problems. While on the outside it may look like a perfect city, Dubai still has many problems of its own. By choosing to embrace trade, a tolerance of different beliefs, and a willingness to take on big risks, Dubai has become the first post-oil economy in the Middle East. Oil now contributes less than 5% to Dubai's GDP, down over 50% in the past 50 years from when they first discovered it. Their investment gambles from the 1950s through the 1970s largely paid off in striking oil and becoming the top trading port of the Middle East. Their gamble to move away from oil seems to have worked in the short term, but it is too soon to say whether or not they truly broke the resource curse and will be thriving 100 years from now. Their reliance on an 88% foreign population and foreign workforce that has no chance of citizenship may eventually lead to issues down the road. Time will tell. If you enjoyed the rise of Dubai, Switzerland is another place that was able to use its innovativeness to become one of the world's richest countries. To see the rise of Switzerland and their dark history, watch our video here. It will truly blow your mind how the country defied the odds against larger neighbouring empires and became so insanely rich in the modern day. And with that, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.